My name's Tony Lott. I'm the general manager at Fred Bean's Kia in Langhorne. I just wanted to take a minute to talk about Larry Feldman and Career Changers USA. Larry and I have been working together for about the last 12 years now, and anything I've ever needed as far as recruiting, training, Larry has been right there. Larry's got me salespeople, he's got me managers, he's got me technicians even through the toughest times in the industry, and he is just the kind of guy who's going to tell you exactly what's on his mind. He's going to tell you exactly what he thinks. But Larry also has the expertise to back it up. When he was in the dealership world, he was a top performer, and that's really important to my staff, especially as it pertains to training. A lot of people can come in and teach out of a textbook, but Larry has real-world experience dealing with customers, dealing with situations in dealerships that we go through on a daily basis and try to train on. But Larry's been through it, so he can really empathize with the people and tell you what's worked for him and maybe what way not to go. Larry is just always at a 10. I mean, his energy level is always up there, and I think people, they just love that and they feed off of it. He's not faking it. He is genuinely excited to come in and help you. He's excited to come in and help grow your business. And he's one of those people who just really enjoys seeing dealers succeed and have a lot of fun at the same time.
All right. Life is about connection. Having a support system to lean on. And roads to endless possibility. At every turn, guiding the way, we are building the connections that move you.
So what would your dealership feel like if your entire sales staff was literally on fire, your sales and service staff? They were nonstop all over social media, completely dominating your marketplace. They could do it in 30 days or less and then continue their education to do it for an entire 6 months or a year. You literally would completely take over the entire marketplace and no one would be able to compete with you. And that's what we can do for you. So when you're walking around your community, whether you're at local restaurants or you're going to the gym, if you don't want to be bothered, fine, you won't be bothered. But a lot of people will walk up to you and say, oh my God, I love your social media. Your staff is amazing. We love what you're doing in the community. We want to come buy a car from you. We want to get an oil change at your dealership. Your community is absolutely going to love you. And it doesn't matter what platform you're on. You could be on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all social media platforms. You will literally be all over the place. And not only will you have ads running, but your own staff is going to be promoting your brand and promoting themselves within the dealership and within the business. So it's like running an ad times 100-fold because your entire staff is participating in the process. I've traveled all over North America. I've trained Toyota. I've trained Nissan. I've been to driving sales. I've been to Women in Auto. I get hired as a speaker for conferences at universities all over the country. And I can help change the trajectory of your dealership right now.
Hey, if you missed us live, you can listen to us wherever you get your podcast.
All right, this is Ian Nethercott with the AutoHub Show and Vid Calls. I'm here with Ed, the famous Ed Roberts from Bozard Ford. And obviously, ASOTUCon is a place where trailblazers get together to share ideas. And Ed, if you haven't already check out his book and his story. But Ed, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about your story. Maybe people don't know.
Thank you, Ian. It's great to meet you here. It's been a great show so far. But a little bit about my story, and I certainly don't mind sharing because I want people to see and learn that they can make things happen for themselves as well. And I started in this business as a tech apprentice. And previous to that, or that's what allowed me to get out of being homeless. I was homeless getting into this business, and with the right attitude and effort, you can do anything. And we put limits on ourselves. I can't do that. I can't do this. Well, our mind believes anything we tell it, and we are truly capable of whatever we put our minds to. And the opportunities are boundless, so don't be afraid to chase them. And then coming to things like this it's just huge. There's a lot of great minds here. Always something to learn from everybody. And but you gotta share. You gotta be willing to share to be able to take something back. So don't be afraid to tell people your secret sauce and learn what theirs is as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, I had the opportunity to meet Mr. Benstock years ago. I think it was 2007 in Vegas at a show like this. Not as good as this, obviously, but like this. And I talked to him when he came in the other day, and it was interesting because I was talking about the changes in electric cars specifically in the auto industry. I know he's been promoting some of them. And it was interesting because just like yourself, he has a philosophy of, yeah, it can be done. You just got to put in the work. And we had the opportunity to interview a couple of years ago, and it was on a Sunday, and he works all the time. But it was interesting because he had a different tone on a Sunday, obviously out of respect for the day. But maybe you can tell us a little bit more about the secret to your success as a dealer, as a Ford dealer in your market, and what you feel are the opportunities as we roll into the end of this year. Shocking as it may seem.
Right. Our opportunity is to embrace change, and we resist change, and that's when we really fall behind. There's things that require change in any industry, and a lot of times we're wired to resist that because don't disrupt what I'm doing. And when we resist that, the early adopters embrace it and roll, and then you find yourself behind playing catch up. So in any industry, no matter what business that you're in, embrace the changes that needs to take place, because we don't do business the same way today that we did 4 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And the only way those things take place is with change. And we have to embrace it as we go through it.
Thanks for that. So, as you may be aware, I work for a company called VidCalls, and they're also a sponsor of the show as well. VidCalls is obviously a simple product that changes the way customers experience car dealerships and car dealership staff, and is a game changer, as Ed said, for dealers who want to embrace. When you're looking at the way customers interact with your store, whether it be in-store, on your website, or maybe they're at home, how do you feel VidCalls can change that experience for customer and results?
VidCalls creates the visualization, and when customers drop a vehicle off for service, or they're sending a lead for a vehicle that we may have in inventory, they don't know what's there. They don't know what we're doing with their vehicle when they drop it off. They don't know what the vehicle looks like that they're maybe submitting a lead on. And when we can connect with them with video, now they're seeing their vehicle. They're seeing the things that we're telling them about it, or they're seeing that vehicle that they submitted the lead on. And it creates the opportunity to build layers of trust, because without the visualization, we don't build those as easily. And when you start building layers of trust, then you take the transactional elements away, and it becomes an experience.
Fantastic. So customer experience matters then, I guess. CSI is not just for manufacturers, I'm assuming. So when you're looking at customer experience, and you're looking specifically at maybe different generations, maybe millennials and younger, do you feel that that's more important to them, or about the same as the older generations?
Well, time is so important now, so you have to tie all those elements together. But there has been so many things that look at our industry, for the rap that our industry has. Our industry has the rap that we can't be trusted, that we're just out to get you. And video overcomes that. And if we have to embrace that, because the video shows, and seeing's believing. So it's not like I have to visualize it in my mind, and it wasn't acting up, it wasn't doing that, I never noticed that. Now I see it, and it takes that totally out of the equation. So it shifts the conversation to how can we overcome this, rather than I don't believe you.
Yeah, I mean, we always talk in the car business, especially on the service side of the house, we talk about sort of male and female views. And my wife went into the dealership, and they misrepresented in her opinion. But I think with video, you have the opportunity not only to have a two-way conversation with the husband or wife or both, you have the ability to put their mind at ease, saying, hey, this is what's wrong with your vehicle. I'm not saying you have to fix it right now, but I think you should at least be aware of it and to solve that. But also from a time point of view, people don't have more time in their day. Days are pretty finite, and if you can save them some time and build trust, I think it's a great way to do that. When you look at competition in the marketplace, we know we all compete with not only our own dealerships from the same brand, but other brands. Do you feel that this would also give you a competitive advantage over, say, I don't know, a Chevrolet dealership to pick a adversary in your market?
Well, the opportunity with competition is focus on what you can do well, because they have things that they're going to do well as well. And when you're focusing on what they're doing, it's a bit of a distraction.
Yeah.
Well, let's take that a little bit further. We're talking about time. We're talking about convenience. We're talking about trust. That's why we do a lot of stuff with mobile, because when we're there, we're in the customer's presence. We've already gave them their time back. They didn't have to travel back and forth to the dealer. And then I can show them anything that we find. But not everything can be done mobile. And that's when video comes into play and fills those gaps when those things can't happen. So we're also, because we're not trying to convince them, we're also shortening that window of time. So we're giving them their time back. We're not using as much of their time. and we're talking about how can we overcome whatever obstacle it is, rather than I don't believe you.
So we know that never happens in the car business, and all the CSI questions are perfect, right? Yeah, absolutely. And it's really interesting that you bring that up, because when you look at buying a car 30 years ago and buying a car, say, in the last 3 years, there's been a lot of change, but there's also a lot more complexity with vehicles today. And as we were talking to our buddy Trent earlier on, pictures online alone, or even videos of a car alone, maybe are not enough for a customer who has a question like, for example, where are the vents in the car? I've never been asked that question personally, but I understand that it's important to some people. And if you have let's just say a pet in your household, how does that work if it's a hot day and the windows are down, kind of thing. So I think it opens us up for new questions, but also opens us up for new questions remotely when maybe the customer doesn't feel under pressure. Not saying that ever happens in a car dealership, whether it's in the service drive, in the parts department, in the sales side, but also gives the ability for that dealership to shine, saying, hey, this is what we do at Bozard Ford, for example, right?
Well, what Trent was saying there is you need to make a connection with the customer. When you make a connection with the customer, you can learn what's important to them. And then when you learn what's important to them to them may not be the same things that's important to us. And they're our customer. We need to meet what's important with them. And when you do that, then we narrow down that window of what they could be to what it is. And that enhances the experience dramatically. So it's learning what's important to the customer. And the only way you can do that is by making a connection with them. And the easiest way to make a connection with them is to look at them face to face. And that's what video does.
Absolutely. You mean everyone doesn't want a Ford Mustang even if they have a family? Is that what you're saying?
A Ford Mustang or a convertible Mustang doesn't fit everyone, but neither does an F-150.
Fantastic.
But there is something for everyone.
Exactly. So as you look forward after ASOTUCON, you look at the change in the auto industry over the next, say, 18 to 24 months, what has surprised you in the past 18 to 24? What do you think will surprise you in the next 18 to 24?
Well, I think the slowdown of EV has surprised everyone, and I don't think it's necessarily should be a surprise because the early adopters went out and grabbed it, and then we haven't educated our teams well enough to be able to sell an EV effectively. So we really got to look in the mirror on why EV has slowed down.
Right.
And EVs aren't going away. It's part of what's going to help our manufacturers meet their CAFE standards. And so over the next 6 to 18 months, you're going to see where that becomes very educational. And customers a lot of times come in the dealers knowing more about that particular product that they're looking for than our salespeople do. But with EV, with new technology, after you get past the early adopters, the rest of those customers have questions. And our people need to be able to answer those questions. And when they can't answer those questions, we shift them to something else, or we send them down the road for somebody that can answer those questions. Right. So education is key. Anytime there's a, let's call it an evolution in our industry where we're changing to something different, education is key, because it's not the same things that's going to get us there. So it's better preparing our staff for what's ahead of us.
Yeah, I think it's a great observation. Years ago, I sold Honda products, and we had hybrids. And I used to work with salesmen who came in, and people would come in, I don't know anything about that, but that guy does. So I think part of it is an evangelist almost, or an early adopter that can train the team, but also maybe just someone who can answer questions, because it may not be the right vehicle, but customers are curious, right? There's been a lot of media attention, a lot of government attention on both sides. But more importantly, to your point, it's going to be a percentage of the market, whether we like it or not. So we need to embrace it and answer those questions. Now, will it be 100%? Who knows? But I don't think anything is ever 100%. There's always going to be that person who wants something different, right?
Exactly. Well, and we've had that forever. We just hadn't focused on it with EV. I mean, I'm a truck driver, so I like to drive an F-150. So a Mustang doesn't necessarily fit me. That doesn't make Mustang a bad product. It makes it not fit for me.
Yeah.
Well, if we don't believe in an EV, it's not up to us to talk a customer out of it. They've already done all their research, and they want to ask questions to determine if it fits them, because EV does fit some people perfectly well.
Yeah.
And it's not up to us to tell them, oh, you don't want that. You wouldn't tell them you don't want that Mustang, so you shouldn't tell them you don't want the EV. You got to be educated so you can answer those questions effectively.
Understood. I mean, I remember when I sold vehicles that a lot of the salesmen I work with would sell the vehicle they were driving because that's the vehicle they liked. Exactly. And I would sometimes do a double take because you'd have a customer come in, want to meet me, and like, oh, you should really get an SUV. And she's like, no, or he's like, no, I want to meet. Well, no, I think you should really, have you seen the benefits? And I was sitting there going, you probably want to speak to the question, not to what you think. This is interesting, but more importantly, I think change is a good thing because vehicles over time change maybe as well because needs change. And I think that's always a good thing for transportation, and obviously dealers, franchises, brands, and everything else. At the end of the day, it's about customers, and customer service and experience, in my opinion, is how it's going to get done.
That's it. It's about making that personal connection. When you make that personal connection, now we're helping the customer rather than selling them something. We're helping them buy something.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for taking time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ian.
Good to see you in person, and get his book. It's fantastic. Highly recommend. And of course, if you're looking for a Ford product or maybe another product that they would represent new or used, definitely check out. And you're in St. Augustine, Florida, correct?
In St. Augustine, Florida, sunny Florida.
Yep. And Ed's there, so if you need Ed's help, I'm sure he'd love you to say hi as well. Have a great day.
Hey, if you missed us live, you can listen to us wherever you get your podcast.